So am I the only one that thought the chapter was really starting to take off when suddenly it just ended? Yo, well going everyone, Sanji Uchiha here, and welcome back to the channel where today we'll be talking about the highly anticipated 49th chapter of the Boruto manga. Of course, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe. We're on our way to 1,000 subscribers and I'd really appreciate the support. Like the video if you enjoy what I have to say, and of course leave a comment, let me know what you thought about the chapter. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Yo, the 49th chapter, chapter 49. Yo, I'm not gonna lie. Initial impressions, as I said in the beginning, it went by pretty fast. Honestly, I was absorbed from the beginning because I was really waiting for this chapter. But honestly, by the time the last page came around, I didn't even realize. I just looked down and I was like, yo, next chapter, September 18th. I'm like, jeez, like it's done already. Like I was just getting hooked. But that aside, it was actually a pretty decent chapter. I love that what was on display for it, between, you know, Isshiki coming to the village, attacking 1 and 2 persons. The fight between him and Sasuke and Naruto has begun again in round 2. We got some decent, how should I even put it? I would call it some decent scenes where Boruto is concerned in this chapter, but let's stop jumping over the place. Let's start at the beginning. So we start off with Isshiki. Of course, he's hovering over the village. We have the civilians going about their business. Of course, we have some civilians spotting Isshiki, who makes use of the Byakugan to start searching for Kawaki, which is to be expected. It does seem like most Otsutsuki clan members, like the Byakugan is their default eye technique. So this wasn't anything too much, like too out of the water, unexpected, even though we haven't seen him use it before. So yeah, of course we have Isshiki and his trademark gentleman. Yo, but like honestly, the man really and truly went about things in a less, like, in such a non-violent way that it I was kind of hoping for more of it, like him just stopping by and just asking some random Konoha shinobi like, yo, have you seen a boy named Kawaki? Like that's just typical Isshiki. Based on everything, how he's been characterized up until this point, that's what's to be expected. That, and I mean, besides that, we know Amado did say he's very goal oriented at this point, based on the fact that he just wants to get Kawaki. So any unnecessary conflict, he's going to want to avoid it. And that was really unsure in this chapter, from him interacting with the Konoha ninja to even interacting with Naruto and Sasuke and starting their second fight. Because honestly, for the most part in this chapter, Isshiki, there's an atmosphere, overwhelming atmosphere of, for lack of a better term, Kiambada. Just Kiambada. So yeah, that's really the vibe I got from Isshiki in this episode. So that really kind of builds, or basically reinforces, the characterization we've had with him and what other characters have said about him in this particular situation, specifically Amado. So that was good to see. I was kind of hoping for more interactions between, you know, Isshiki and some other villagers, or hopefully, you know, I was kind of hoping he stopped by the ramen stand, but he didn't actually do that. I think Isshiki would actually love ramen, so that's just me though. So yeah, but anyway, of course we have Naruto heading out first. Of course Boruto still wants to go. Naruto just wants to dismiss him, and he wants Boruto to evacuate along with the other villagers. So that's that. Naruto heads out there to meet him. Of course, this is the first time Naruto's meeting Isshiki Otsutsuki face to face. Well, outside of Jigen's body. Well, she still is kind of in Jigen's body. But you get what I mean. So there's that. So we start the fight after, you know, Isshiki, you know, demands to see, you know, get Kawaki. Of course, Naruto refuses, and we have the fight start with Naruto going into the 6-path Steel Beast Siege mode. And of course, it goes as you would expect. Naruto doesn't really stand a chance. Isshiki is already dominating from the get-go. I mean, he punches Naruto so hard in the initial exchange that when Naruto lands back on the building he jumped from, he basically breaks through the building, essentially. And Ishiki's on the offensive, he has the advantage. Now, I think the highlight of this chapter for me is the exchange between Boruto and Sasuke. Of course, with Shikamaru and Sai heading out to the, apparently there's this underground black ops site that most persons in the village aren't aware of. So Kawaki, Amado, Shikamaru, and Sai will be going there. So that's interesting. And apparently, it's a site that can, it works against the abilities of like I think like the Byakugan, so they'll be safe from its effects. So that's interesting. Love to hear more about this site, but maybe it's beyond like some sealing jutsu that works against jutsus or eye techniques like the Byakugan. That's more than likely the case. But anyway, I'm straying from the main point. As I said, the highlight of this chapter for me is the exchange between Sasuke and Boruto. Honestly, it's such an interesting dynamic that these two have, and I've said in previous videos that, especially the more recent videos I've done, that this part of the story really and truly is focusing on building Boruto as the main character so that he can be, how should I say it, have much more of a fan base, I would say, in the time skip when it comes. So having this exchange between Sasuke just to kind of get an idea of how Boruto feels, what he's going through. We know last chapter Sasuke asked him if he was willing to die, and in this chapter it seems that he does admit that he's scared to die, which is, he's a kid that grew up in a time of peace, so that's to be expected. But it seems more so than death, he's scared of what Momoshiki can do to his loved ones through him. That's what he's scared about, the karma. So that's the whole reason for his hesitation, which there's nothing wrong with that. I appreciate it. There's some doubt, there's some hesitation in Boruto, and besides that, we do know, well, Sasuke admits to what Boruto was saying last chapter, that there's a high chance that they won't be able to actually perform or get the job done against Isshiki. So there was that as well. And of course, we go over the entire exchange with Boruto. We're basically recapping the fact that Momoshiki took over Boruto's body during the the Naruto rescue mission and the fight against Boro. And we have Sasuke saying that, of course, more like his karma has reached a point where it's reached a far point for that to be happening. So this little exchange, I think the highlight of this exchange as well was the section where we had Boruto asking for Sasuke's headband after Sasuke tells him or quells his fears and says, yo, if push comes to shove and Momoshiki does take over your body, I will defeat, I'll put you down to the best of my abilities and I'll kill you if necessary, especially since Naruto more than likely won't be able to do it. And Boruto making the conscious decision to go out there despite the fact that, despite Sasuke's words, he's basically gained the conviction to risk his life for the village. And this is all capped off or symbolized by the fact that he asked for Sasuke's headband, which the last time he actually did that was during the rescue of Naruto Uzumaki when Momoshiki captured him during the Boruto the movie retelling arc, basically. And during that arc, we know he took the headband and Naruto's jacket as it was kind of symbolism for him really adopting what it really meant to be a shinobi. So to see him do that again of his own will, because last time Sasuke gave him the headband himself, but now Boruto's asking for it. So I thought that was a really powerful message they were giving, Kodachi was giving us about Boruto's character and where his mindset is right now. So yeah, I really love that, because honestly, I was wondering how I should interpret it, but I think that's the best way to actually interpret it. I even went back and watched the scene from the anime adaptation. So I think that's about episode 63. So yeah, I went back and I watched that scene. I'm like, yeah, this is actually a pretty powerful move for this chapter, and it falls in line with what I'm saying, that we're really pushing forward for Boruto to become such a solid character. Probably not the best character in like history, but he's going to become much more, as I always put it, he's going to start carrying the weight of the series as the main character. He's going to live up to his responsibilities. So there's that. But anyway, we move past that. We have Sasuke coming to the field, of course using his Rinnegan switching jutsu, and this is kind of goes back to what I said before in a previous discussion, where even though there's no way that Naruto, Sasuke, or Boruto they can't do anything, honestly, they're nowhere near as powerful as Isshiki. But given that Isshiki was introduced, his techniques are introduced with certain weaknesses, it does give Kodachi and Ikemoto room to actually introduce some strategies and introduce interesting choreography in terms of how they approach the battle against Isshiki. So in this chapter, when I saw Sasuke come out and, you know, pull off, he's throwing a bunch of shurikens, kunais, him and Naruto, and they make use of Ishiki's weakness of not being able to shrink other organic matter other than himself by transforming Boruto into his sword. Yo, I like to say, yes, that was actually satisfying to see. And just the fact that Boruto actually, Boruto has leveled up when it comes on to the use of the karma. Honestly, to be honest, I was gonna call bullshit in terms of how Boruto actually uses space-time ninjutsu, but when I thought about it, I thought like, yeah, before it was him and Kawaki who had to, you know, their karmas had to, you know, kind of synchronize and all of that to do space-time ninjutsu. But the fact that he kind of has an idea of, or has a feeling of how to do it, and the fact that his karma extraction has progressed a bit more, it makes sense in the grand scheme of things why he would be able to actually pull off the space-time ninjutsu to actually transport Isshiki to the next dimension. So we have that, which was a pretty satisfying. And of course, we have Boruto, Naruto, and Sasuke coming in to actually face off against Isshiki, and that's basically where the chapter ends. And not gonna lie, the chapter was solid. It was solid. It just ended too fast. Like, it was one of those months where I felt like we needed 2 chapters, but I know that wouldn't have been feasible on Ikemoto and Kodachi. I know, but Jano, I was Jano. But yeah, the chapter does end there, and we get the next chapter September 18th. As I said, it was a pretty solid chapter. You know, there's a lot of reinforcement where, you know, based on how Isshiki himself was characterized up until this point, you know, the reinforcement there, making use of explain some established weaknesses in Isshiki for some nice, you know, surprise, you know, tactics. You know, it's tactics like what was in this chapter kind of reminds you of like original Naruto. I like it. So despite the overpoweredness of the characters at this point, they're still managing to keep it simple here and there. So that was nice as well. As I said, highlights of the chapter definitely, like, at first it wasn't much of a highlight to me, but you know, in retrospect, rereading the chapter and kind of digging more into it, it's a very powerful scene for Boruto's character in this chapter. And even though I was kind of hoping to see some other characters jump into the fray, I'm satisfied with what we got for this chapter. I'm looking forward to seeing how they're going to approach round 2 with Isshiki, considering that Boruto's in the mix. I mean, predictably, Momoshiki is going to make an appearance, but I'll save that discussion for another video. So yeah, all in all, solid chapter, enjoyed it. Can't wait till September 18th, because the next few chapters is going to be something else. But let me know what you thought about the chapter. As I said, just can't wait. But yeah, let me know what you think. Comment, like, subscribe. Of course, shout out to the new and returning subscribers. Share the video out if you enjoyed it. And Sanji Uchiha here, people. I'll see you in the next Boruto video.